Jinnah, a regional manager at a chain coffee company, walking through the busy streets of Seoul. The camera captures the hustle and bustle of the city, while Jinnah's face shows a mixture of anticipation and nervousness. It's her 1 year anniversary with her boyfriend, and she spent weeks planning a special dinner. As she walks, she checks her phone repeatedly, expecting a sweet message from him. But there's nothing. Her steps slow, and doubt begins to creep in. She arrives at the restaurant, sits down at a beautifully decorated table, and waits. The minutes tick by, and still no word from him. The server approaches her several times, offering water, asking if she wants to order, but Jinnah politely declines. Her phone buzzes. Her heart races. Thinking it's him. But it's just a notification from her work group chat. Disappointment washes over her. Finally, after an hour of waiting, she decides to leave. The next day, Jinnah confronts her boyfriend at his apartment. She enters, trying to keep her composure, but the hurt and frustration are evident in her voice. "You didn't show up. I planned everything. Why didn't you even call?" He looks at her, indifferent, as if her words don't reach him. After a long silence, he finally speaks. "Jinnah, this isn't working. You're like konjac." Jinnah blinks, confused. "Konjac?" He shrugs. "Yeah, it's tasteless, bland. Our relationship is just like that. I'm bored." Jinnah stands frozen, unable to process the comparison. Her eyes well up, but she refuses to cry in front of him. She takes a deep breath and, with as much dignity as she can muster, ends the relationship. As she walks away from his apartment, the city lights blur through her tears. She had always imagined her life taking a different path, with love and excitement, but now she feels empty. Later, Jinnah meets up with her best friend, Kyung-sun, at a cozy bar. They sit in a booth, sharing a bottle of soju. Jinnah is unusually quiet, stirring her drink with her straw. Kyung-sun watches her, concerned, before finally breaking the silence. "So, what happened?" Jinnah sighs, resting her head on her arms. "He said I'm like konjac, tasteless, bland. Can you believe that?" Kyung-sun bursts out laughing, not out of malice, but in disbelief. "Konjac? Wow, what a jerk. You're anything but tasteless, Jinnah." As they talk, they reminisce about their college days, when Jinnah was the life of every party. "Remember when you danced on the table at that freshman mixer?" Kyung-sun grins. "You were the queen of fun back then." Jinnah smiles faintly, the memory bringing a small spark of joy, but it quickly fades. "He called me boring?" She mutters, looking down at her drink. Kyung-sun leans in, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Forget him, Jinnah. He's not worth your time. You need to be more selective with men. Stop wasting your energy on guys like that." As the night goes on, they leave the bar, tipsy and carefree. Walking through the streets, they start singing old pop songs loudly, drawing amused glances from passersby. Kyung-sun grabs Jinnah's hands, pulling her into an impromptu dance. For the first time in days, Jinnah feels a sense of freedom, like the weight of her failed relationship is slowly lifting. They twirl and laugh under the neon lights, creating a brief but joyful moment of escape. The next morning, Jinnah returns to work, wearing her usual professional mask. As a regional manager, she oversees multiple coffee shops, making sure everything runs smoothly. She moves through her day, inspecting stores, handling paperwork, and managing staff issues. But even as she works, the echo of her ex's words lingers in her mind. One afternoon, while visiting one of the coffee shops, she bumps into Jun-hee, her best friend's younger brother. It's been 3 years since she last saw him, and she's taken aback by how much he's changed. He's taller, more confident, and there's a certain charm about him now. They decide to grab lunch together, catching up on old times. Jun-hee teases her, saying, "You still look the same, Jinnah. Haven't aged a day." Jinnah laughs it off, but there's a light flirtation in the air that she quickly dismisses. To her, Jun-hee is like a younger brother. Playful, immature, not someone to be taken seriously. As time passes, Jinnah tries to move on from her breakup, focusing on work and spending more time with friends. But then, out of nowhere, her ex-boyfriend reappears, showing up at her workplace, hoping to rekindle their relationship. He's apologetic, claiming he made a mistake, but Jinnah can sense that he's more driven by loneliness than genuine remorse. His sudden reappearance stirs up all the emotions she thought she had buried. Jun-hee happens to be visiting the shop when her ex confronts her. Seeing her discomfort, Jun-hee steps in, wrapping an arm around her shoulder and grinning at her ex. "Sorry, but Jinnah is with me now," he says casually, as if it's the most natural thing in the world. Her ex, clearly taken aback, stammers an excuse and leaves, but not before glaring at Junhee. Once they're alone, Jinna pulls away, flustered. "What was that?" she asks, half annoyed, half amused. Junhee just shrugs. "He was bothering you, so I helped. Besides, didn't you need a fake boyfriend to get rid of him?" Jinna laughs, but there's a warmth in her chest she hadn't expected. The lines between friendship and something more start to blur, though she tries to ignore it. Over the next few weeks, Jinna finds herself spending more time with Junhee. He's always around, whether it's dropping by her office or inviting her out for dinner. His presence is lighthearted and fun, and slowly, Jinna realizes how much he's grown since they were younger. His flirtations, once brushed off as jokes, now feel more sincere. But there's a part of her that hesitates. He's still her best friend's younger brother, and she's unsure if she can cross that line. Meanwhile, Jinna's mother pressures her to settle down. In one particularly tense conversation, her mother reminds her, "You're not getting any younger, Jinna. You need to find someone from a good family, someone respectable." Jinna clenches her fists, feeling the weight of her family's expectations bearing down on her. She wants to make them proud, but she also craves happiness on her own terms. As the drama unfolds, Jinna's journey is one of self-discovery and healing. With Junhee's unwavering support, she begins to embrace her worth, realizing that she doesn't need to fit into society's mold of what a woman's life should look like. Through humor, love, and a bit of chaos, Jinna learns that sometimes the best relationships come from the most unexpected places. In the final moments of the story, Jinna stands at a crossroads. Will she open her heart to Junhee, or will she let fear hold her back? The choice is hers, and with each passing day, she becomes more confident in the idea that love, in all its complexity, is worth the risk. As Jinna stands at this emotional crossroads, she finds herself reflecting deeply on her relationships and the lessons they've taught her. Sitting in her favorite park one afternoon, she watches families and couples pass by, their laughter filling the air. Her mind wanders back to her ex-boyfriend's harsh words, but instead of feeling hurt, she starts to feel a sense of clarity. She finally understands that his opinion doesn't define her. Jinna realizes that she had been measuring her worth by how others saw her, and it's time to change that narrative. Suddenly, Junhee appears, holding 2 cups of coffee. He sits down beside her, offering her one. "You always seem to come to this park when you're deep in thought," he says, his voice gentle but teasing. Jinna smiles, appreciating how well he knows her. "How did you know I was here?" she asks, half laughing. Junhee grins. "I have my ways." They sit in comfortable silence for a few minutes, sipping their coffee. The mood is peaceful, but there's an undercurrent of something more between them now, something Jinna has been avoiding for weeks. She glances at Junhee, noticing how relaxed and content he seems. For the first time, she lets herself really see him, not just as Kyungsun's little brother, but as a man who cares for her deeply. Junhee breaks the silence. "Jinna, have you ever thought about us? Like, seriously thought about us?" His tone is calm, but Jinna can sense the vulnerability behind his words. She hesitates, unsure of how to respond. "I mean," he continues, "I've liked you for a long time, but I know it's complicated, with Kyungsun and everything. I needed to say it." Jinna's heart races, caught off guard by his honesty. She had always dismissed the idea of being with Junhee because of their history, their age difference, and the fact that he's her best friend's brother. But now, sitting here with him, she can't deny the warmth she feels in his presence. It's a feeling of safety, comfort, and maybe something more. She takes a deep breath, unsure of how to begin. "Junhee, I've been scared to even think about it. You're important to me, and the last thing I want is to hurt you or mess things up. But you've always been there for me. And lately, I've started to wonder if maybe we could be something more." Her voice is soft, but the vulnerability in her words is clear. Junhee's eyes light up, a mix of hope and nervous excitement. "So, does that mean I have a chance?" he asks, half joking but clearly serious. Jinna laughs, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. "Maybe," she says with a smile. "But let's take things slow. I don't want to rush into anything." As they sit together, a new sense of understanding forms between them. Jinna feels a strange mixture of relief and anticipation. She's finally allowing herself to explore this new chapter of her life, one where she's no longer held back by societal expectations or her own fears. Days turn into weeks, and Junhee and Jinna start to spend even more time together. They go on long walks, have late-night phone calls, and share quiet dinners. Their connection grows deeper, and Jinna slowly realizes that what she feels for Junhee is unlike anything she's ever experienced before. There's no drama or uncertainty, just genuine affection and care. But, as with any budding relationship, there are challenges. Jinna still wrestles with her insecurities, especially when her mother brings up the topic of marriage again. Junhee? Her mother scoffs when Jinna tentatively mentions him. He's too young, Jinna. You need someone stable, someone who can take care of you. Jinna feels the familiar pressure tightening around her chest, but this time she doesn't let it control her. She firmly tells her mother, I can take care of myself. I don't need someone to do that for me. Meanwhile, Kyung-sun, Junhee's sister, and Jinna's best friend, notices the growing bond between them. One evening, over dinner, Kyung-sun casually asks Jinna, So, what's going on with you and Junhee? You two have been spending a lot of time together. Jinna freezes for a moment, unsure of how to respond. We're just friends, she stammers, but Kyung-sun raises an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. Kyung-sun's reaction is not as harsh as Jinna feared. Instead of being upset, she smiles and says, You know, I've always thought you two would make a cute couple. He's had a crush on you for ages. Just don't break his heart, okay? Jinna is stunned by Kyung-sun's unexpected support and feels a wave of relief wash over her. As their relationship slowly progresses, Jinna and Junhee navigate the ups and downs of dating. There are moments of awkwardness, like when they accidentally bump into her ex-boyfriend at a coffee shop, but Junhee handles the situation with his usual charm, jokingly saying, Hey, Jinna, didn't we agree to avoid all tasteless foods like konjac? They both burst into laughter, the awkward tension immediately diffused. The turning point in their relationship comes when Jinna faces a major career challenge. A crisis arises at work, and she's forced to make difficult decisions that could affect her future. Feeling overwhelmed, she confides in Junhee one night, telling him about her fears of failing and disappointing her team. Junhee listens carefully, then tells her, Jinna, you're one of the strongest people I know. Whatever happens, you'll handle it, and I'll be right here, supporting you. In that moment, Jinna realizes that Junhee is more than just a playful flirt or a comforting presence. He's someone who genuinely believes in her and wants her to succeed. And that's when she knows, this is more than just a temporary fling or a distraction from her past. This is real. As the season finale approaches, Jinna and Junhee's relationship reaches a new level of depth. They've overcome their doubts and fears, and they're ready to face whatever comes next, together. The final scene shows them walking hand in hand through the streets of Seoul, their future uncertain but full of promise. The camera pans up to the night sky, where the stars twinkle brightly, symbolizing the new chapter in their lives. Jinna's journey has been one of self-discovery, healing, and learning to love again. And with Junhee by her side, she knows that no matter what challenges lie ahead, she's ready to face them. Because, for the first time in a long time, she feels truly free. With these extended scenes, emotional depth, and new challenges, the storyline expands into a richer narrative that can comfortably stretch into 20 minutes or more.